I'm Jane Belford from the Department for Education, and it's a pleasure to be here at Lloyds Banking Group in Harbourside in Bristol. I'm here to celebrate National Apprenticeship Week and to meet the fantastic apprentices and T-level students who are making a difference every day in Lloyds Banking Group, building their careers and celebrating their success. Minister Hines, the Minister for Schools, was here with me, seeing everything so that we can feed back to the Department and Westminster how great a job you're doing.
Hi, I'm Ben. I'm on the apprenticeship scheme at Lloyds Banking Group doing commercial banking finance. I joined the scheme because it's an opportunity to earn money off the bat, avoid university debt, but more importantly, I think for me it was to get a head start in finance. So the opportunity to get in there, to network, to meet people and to gain qualifications, in my circumstances up to a level 7, it was a win all round.
Hi, I'm Charlie. I am a Senior Leader Apprentice at Lloyds Banking Group. I took the opportunity to do a Senior Leader Apprenticeship after working for the group for a while because I wanted to build some confidence in my abilities and understanding about things like strategy, innovation, change and how they all fitted together and how the entire system of Lloyds Banking Group as a whole was.
Hi, so I'm James. I'm a level 4 data analyst apprentice here at Lloyds Banking Group, and I'm not the youngest apprentice, but the opportunities presented at Lloyds have really given me an opportunity to re-skill and start a new career after some changes in life. So, you know, the income, the flexibility and the support that I've received, you know, while I've been here have really given me that opportunity to take on a new challenge and start a new chapter in my working life. So it's been really exciting, and yeah, I can't sing the praise of the organisation enough for what's been done for me.
Hello, I'm David Marsden, and it's a real privilege to lead our youth activity here at Lloyds Banking Group and to be celebrating this year's National Apprenticeship Week. Across Lloyds Banking Group, we have over 1,000 apprentices on programme, and over the course of our programmes, we've had over 10,000 apprentices. We are so excited about the opportunities that apprenticeships and T-levels provide young people, and most importantly, help us build a future talent pipeline, ensuring that for the skills of our future, we've got the employees of our future.
Ready?
Steady.
Go. Here at Lloyds Banking Group, there's no such thing as just an apprentice. I'm in a position to say whether our products are fair, ethical and designed to help Britain prosper.
That moment when you realise you're in a team managing over £150 billion in funds.
It isn't all finance all the time. I led a partnership with Macmillan to help our customers access better cancer care.
Everyone knows you can trust Lloyds. I've seen our bold sustainability commitments, and every day I see us following through.
1 minute I'm leaving uni with my sports science degree. The next I'm in a room thinking of ideas to help millions of families during the pandemic.
I work in financial crime, international sanctions. As you can imagine, it's a pretty interesting place to be right now.
1 minute you're reading about the cost of living crisis, and the next you're writing a briefing paper on it.
Off the back of my dissertation on DevOps pipelines, I went into an engineering role, and now I'm rolling it out company-wide.
We all got million subscriptions nowadays, so my team built a tool that helps 18 million customers manage them in our app.
When it's not developing with React or Redux, it's gaming with the other grads, or the odd night out.
I couldn't be prouder of my outreach work through Lloyds, helping school-age girls and non-binary people get into coding.
My next step, go for an associate director role, either in my team or something new and exciting. How's that for a rotation?
Well, hi everybody and welcome to June. We're almost halfway through the year and it's the first Tuesday of the month. And welcome to another edition of Lloyds Careers Live. I'm Ian, I look after early careers here for Lloyds Banking Group and all of our school and our college engagement for Lloyds Banking Group tonight. We're in the beautiful tech and data hub here in Harbourside, Bristol. I'll kind of like spin it round there. We're actually all there. And it's kind of, today is Summerfest here in Bristol. It's actually chosen to rain, so it's about appropriate for it. And all the boats are arriving in the Harbourside. harborside and being right on the water's edge, it is one of the best spots in town to have a workplace. I'm going to be looking after you for part of tonight, and then also going to be joined by my colleague Elaine.
Hi everyone, I'm Elaine. It looks brilliant where you are, Ian. Well, I'm part of the team in Lloyds called the Next Generation Talent Team. So my special area of expertise is apprenticeships, and I'm using all of my experience to help people get the best start possible to their apprenticeship journey. So tonight on Careers Live, we're looking at careers in fintech. Now, I'm not sure who it was that actually developed that term, fintech, but what we actually mean by this is careers in technology that serve financial services. So if you think back to if you think about how you bank today compared to your parents and the grandparents, the money that you've got, how you spend it, how you put money away for things to save up for, it's all likely to be done now on a mobile app. And someone's got to design, develop and innovate and create all of those apps that help keep our money moving. And on top of that, they've got to make sure that they're all secure and that they actually work when we need them. So this is the world of fintech.
And this is where it's all created. And there are very few things that bother us more than health and money, health and wealth. And technology, particularly AI and data, is transforming both worlds. Now, machine learning is helping organizations understand their customers better so that experiences can be personalized to every individual. Now, rather than the old days when there's, look, here's a website, go over there, go and have a look, see what you find in there. The current trend, of course, is to use insight to know our customers better and present them with almost ready solutions for them to choose from. And sometimes those insight models know us much better than we think. So it's all very exciting, and it's led to an explosion in roles. And some of those roles are here in Lloyds Banking Group, and different job types and opportunities to get in on the ground floor through training models such as apprenticeships.
Yeah, and we're going to explore a lot of this in detail this evening with the help of some experts and some apprentice guests. Now, a lot of students that we meet tend to think that this world of fintech is all about coding and banking, and this excites quite a few people, but let's face it, the actual appeal of that is quite narrow. It's not for everyone. But this evening we want to look at the profession with a much
Oh, Gareth, I think, have we just lost Elaine in there? We've lost her in there. So this evening, we want to look at the profession with a much wider lens. So because of the way we manage our money now calls for a lot more innovation and creativity than what we'd imagine as traditional banking. And contrary to what many of you might believe, many of those roles involve other things other than sitting for hours on end in front of a screen writing lines of code, because roles in fintech are both creative and purposeful, and very far-reaching as well. So, for example, we've got teams here in Lloyds who are responsible for using all of these skills and applying them to transport. And then when they apply them to transport, that's the way that we drive the vehicles we can buy, and also the electric vehicle revolution. But we also have teams who are working on innovative sustainability products as well. These kind of things can help farmers with crop yields, as well as incentivize heavy industries to decarbonize and reduce their environmental footprint. And it might seem from the outside that banking is banking, but as you'll see and discover tonight, the things that you can do with skills in fintech really matter to every household in the UK. So how's that for impact? Do we have Elaine back with us, or has she still disappeared in there? She's still not. She's still there. Okay. So, look, the other big myth is that you need to have been born with a computer in your hand to thrive as a career in fintech. But nothing, of course, could be further from the truth. The number of roles that you have created in the UK every year is higher than the number of people studying computing at A-level, advanced hires, GCSE, or national level qualifications. And employers are very accepting of using apprenticeships to support people into a career in fintech, regardless of whatever it is that you're actually studying. So whether you're at school or college, it's not always easy to find people who know a lot about apprenticeships, what the training's like, how do you get into skills in fintech, and we've got great guests here this evening to help you know more by the end of the show. So let's see where you are in understanding all there is to know about careers in fintech. Gareth, we should be able to put a little poll up right now, and if you give us a 1 if you know nothing, and that's okay by the way, and give us a 5 if you know it all, and really you're the ones who should be here presenting the show. So let's have a look at how you're all doing, what we've got coming in there.
And I'm back, Ian, if you can hear me.
Oh, you are back. That's lovely. Okay, so we've got a 2. Yeah, that's okay. Anybody else want to give us a go on how you feel about it?
Results of the poll coming in.
Yeah, so it's quite low. So let's look and see if we can manage to change that by the end. Yeah. Hey. So, Elaine.
Yeah, we can see the responses coming in. So that's great stuff. Now at Lloyds Banking Group, we've got over 30 million customers and we operate the UK's largest mobile bank. So here's another question for you. To what extent could you see yourself working at Lloyds Banking Group? If you feel it's extremely unlikely, give it a 1. If you feel absolutely certain, then give it a 5.
Oh, okay. So we've got an early advocates in there as well.
We have.
In there. Yeah, 3s, 4s, 5s. Well, it's lovely to have you in there. And we'll come back to those scores later on to see if we can get them changed. So our show tonight runs through to 6 p.m. Coming up, we've got expert guests Tony and Sean. Tony's going to be here to tell us all about the world of professional qualifications, which are deeply embedded within the apprenticeship system. Sean is from leading training provider Firebrand. He's going to be here to help us understand what your training pathways would look like, how the training really works through an apprenticeship, what you can expect. And then you really want to hear from some lived experience of apprentices. We have not 1, not 2, but 3 apprentices. We've got Neil, Emily, and Jack. Each of them are doing a different role in Lloyds Banking Group, each of them coming into a career in fintech from very different backgrounds. Now, inclusivity is really important to us here at Lloyds Banking Group. So just a reminder to everybody who's joining on Zoom or streaming live on YouTube that you can activate closed captions now if that's what helps you. And we do cover a lot of ground very quickly. So if you need to recap on anything, then at 6 p.m. on our YouTube channel, you can replay anything that you want and you can go back over it in your own time.
Yeah, absolutely, Ian. And this is your show, so it's your opportunity to get a bit closer to our experts and our apprentices to find out the things that maybe you can't figure out at school. So we're going to get lots of good insight, but if you do have a question, please do ask that in the chat and we're going to try and pose those questions to the guests or answer them ourselves. So let's just have a little check of your Zoom skills at the moment and type in the chat for us where you're joining us from this evening so we can find out where across the UK everyone is.
So that chat is down on the bottom of your Zoom on there. So hi from Nottingham, hi from London, and Gareth's in East London.
Yep.
And South London. Yeah. I was over in Nottingham direction a couple of weeks ago. Awesome. All right. So let's get cracking then. And our first guest this evening is going to be Tony. Let's see if we can get Tony up on screen. In his special t-shirt that we were saying, he's dressed for the occasion in there. Our first guest is Tony Pitchford. Tony, first of all, thank you for giving up your time in all seriousness this evening to support us here on Lloyds Careers Live. You are sporting this lovely t-shirt which has BCS on there. So I suppose our first logical question is, who are you and who are BCS?
Sure. So thank you very much, Ian. Yeah. So my name's Tony Pitchford. I'm an account director at BCS, the Chartered Institute for IT. So we're a membership body that represents those people that work in the tech sector. And my role at BCS is to work with employers and training providers like Lloyds and Firebrand as a point of contact for BCS as an organization. But yeah, as an organization, as a company, what we do is we're primarily a membership body for those people who work in the tech sector.
Awesome. So why did the BCS come together then? What's its purpose in as an industry body?
Yes, we're a mission-driven organization. So our mission is to make IT good for society. And we do that in lots and lots of different ways, not just by kind of being a place for our members to kind of get together and kind of discuss the latest trends and address the latest challenges, but all the way through people's education into the workplace, through their professional development, all the way through their careers, from early careers through to kind of senior fellows who've been who are kind of influencers within their market. So we have projects such as barefoot computing in primary schools, computing at school in secondary schools. Most computing degree programs in the UK have an accreditation with BCS. We work in the apprenticeship sector, and then beyond into the workplace, people can take BCS exams and professional training, as they're working to continue their own personal development.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that I think when you're at school and college, it's you get into the ritual, right, of GCSEs, and then you do your A levels, or if you're in Scotland, you got your national levels, then you got your hires, and then you're trying to work, and then we come along and go professional qualifications.
Yes. Yeah.
Which are kind of connected with the apprenticeship scheme, and particularly, where we talk about like level 4 apprenticeships leading to a professional qualification.
Yes.
So how do we kind of like help people understand the difference then between professional qualifications distinctive to school-based qualifications?
It's a really great question, Ian. I think the key word here is that professional qualifications are vocational. And what we mean by that is that the levels and the content are typically dictated by what's happening in the workplace and what you need to be able to do in the workplace, or what you would like to be able to do in the workplace. And that I think that causes some confusion, because sometimes you get people who maybe completed A levels and who are kind of maybe encouraged to do a level 3 apprenticeship program, and that kind of feels to them like they might be taking a step back. That's not the case. A level 3 apprenticeship just reflects the kind of job that your entry point into a career, and that's your starting point. It's not reflective of your academic background or your GCSE or A level results. It's reflective of the level of work that you're going to do and that you will be progressing through and onto. So it's very much linked to what's happening in the workplace. And from a vocational point of view, they're often supported by professional bodies or employers and professional standards in the workplace as well. So very different kind of context that they work in.
Yeah. But I guess just being a little challenging with the concept in there, just to make sure everything is like nice and clear for our audience in there. Like, if I'm in England and I do my GCSEs, I know what that is, and I know what the grades are, and then everybody knows what the grades are. And if I do my A levels, it's the same. I get my grades, everybody knows what the grades are, and my UCAS points and my tariff points in there. So how, with professional qualifications, does an employer understand kind of like the level of complexity, the difficulty, the level of achievement in professional qualifications?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think there is a broad equivalency. GCSEs are kind of roughly equivalent to a level 2 entry point apprenticeships. A levels roughly equivalent to a level 3 apprenticeship, and level 4 maybe going into the first year of a degree program, or an HND, HNC, and then level 5 and 6 are kind of undergraduate levels, and level 7 is kind of master's degree level. So there is a ladder that you could draw between the levels of apprenticeship standards and perhaps the kind of the areas that a lot of employers feel more comfortable in understanding, because that may have been the academic route that they followed. But I think the key here is that the way that apprenticeships operate is very much about what happens in that job role and the level of competency that the apprentice demonstrates in the workplace, rather than an academic test of knowledge or recall. It's about what you do.
Yeah. And then that's right important, isn't it? Because what we're talking about here is qualifications as a key to unlocking your marketability and your next steps on your career. And so the big message I'm getting from this is employers understand what the professional qualification is. They know how to interpret that professional qualification, and they know how to place a certain value on acquiring that professional qualification, which is the key for you to unlock your the steps in your career and your marketability.
Exactly that. It's completing an apprenticeship at any level is a demonstration to your employer or any future employer that you've completed a program that takes a minimum of 12 months, that has taken place in the workplace, that shows that level of commitment, the resourcefulness. It shows that you have been assessed as competent, working at a level that, like I said, that the employers recognise. Completing a level 3 ICT apprenticeship or a level 4 data analyst apprenticeship, people know what that means in the workplace because they understand the kind of job role that you have done and the level that you've worked at and the level of complexity of the tasks that you've completed in the work.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
All right. So Tony,
that's
if you
great.
stay with us, Elaine, I think you've got our next guest, haven't
Yeah,
you?
I have. Yes, I'd like to bring in our next guest, which is Sean Rafter from Firebrand. And Firebrand are one of the leading providers of apprenticeship training for the fintech sector. So welcome along, Sean, today. Nice to see you.
Thank you for having
Do you
me.
want to just... Great to have you back. So, Sean, do you want to introduce yourself and just explain Firebrand and what they do?
Yeah, so obviously my name is Sean Rafter. I am head of curriculum for data analysis, business analysis, and AI at Firebrand. And for those that don't know who Firebrand are, we're an independent training provider. We focus mainly or exclusively in the kind of tech and digital sector, part of a wider education group. So we've recently become part of the wider BPP family, which is really cool. And BPP are one of the UK's only private universities, and so they have degree awarding power. So that's enabled Firebrand to kind of extend its reach in terms of what we do. Firebrand have been around for probably 23, 24 years, and we kind of specialize in vendor-led certifications. So it might be that you need a specific certificate to prove that you can be a cybersecurity technologist, or you can work in networking or in data. And so traditionally people would come to Firebrand, and we specialize in an accelerated training model. So we generally get you trained in a shorter period of time than our competitors. And the way that we do that is through a mixture of online and residential training. So what we really love to do is to get people to come and stay with us and live in a hotel next to our training center, and get as much distraction-free training as possible.
That sounds really good. I mean, I know we've talked with Tony a little bit about how, what a school-based qualifications are and how they're different. But I mean, if you're doing an apprenticeship, say with Firebrand, how does it actually get organised then in terms of the study? How does that work?
I suppose it's different depending on the program that you're doing. But if you take, I suppose, a program which I'm heavily invested in and have designed myself, the level 4 data analyst apprenticeship. So Tony's kind of alluded to the fact that level 4 is equivalent in some sense to the first year of a degree. We would get you to come and train with us 4 times over 16 months. And those training blocks would probably be between 4 and 5 days long. So different training providers operate in kind of different delivery models. But the way that Firebrand operate as it stands is kind of block release training. So you come, you'd either train with us online or you train with us in our residential training center in the Wye Boston Lakes area. And you train with us in consecutive days. So we don't do kind of day release. We like to get you in front of us and for as long a period as possible so that we can kind of instill that content and that training in the best way possible.
Yeah, I know you mentioned the data for, the level 4 data analyst, which is a really popular one, isn't it? I mean, are there, what training routes are there for other sort of tech apprenticeships, do you think?
So there's kind of lots of different routes. The data route has got actually a more and more established kind of pathway throughout, but I'll try and not talk about the data route exclusively. So there tends to be routes across software and cyber and infrastructure. So if you take cybersecurity, for instance, there's a level 3 cybersecurity technician, there's a level 4 cybersecurity technologist. For networking, there's a level 4 networking network engineer. In the data space, it's a little bit more broad, and largely because of the emergence of machine learning and artificial intelligence. So there's a level 3 data technician equivalent to an A level, a level 4 data analyst equivalent to a first year of a degree. Then there's a level 5 data engineer, which is a brand new standard, which has just kind of hit the shelves, for want of a better term. There's a new level 6 machine learning engineer apprenticeship, which is coming online. There's a level 6 data science apprenticeship. There's a level 7 artificial intelligence apprenticeship as well. So in the data space and the data AI space, there's a really cool kind of pathway from like A level up to master's level, which I think is really attractive for people looking to get into data.
Yeah, oh, it just sounds like there's so many different options, doesn't it? I mean, with a lot of these programs, I appreciate they're going to be, different content across them in terms of area of specialism, but what types of things would people be studying? You mentioned AI. Is that something that's covered in a lot of these programs?
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of the apprenticeship programs have elements around future technology, IoT, augmented reality, artificial intelligence. So you'll find some apprenticeships where it might not be specifically about artificial intelligence, but it will have a kind of horizon scanning futurology kind of aspect to it. If you're talking kind of strict data and AI programs, you potentially be looking at data extraction, data transformation, data modeling, data visualization. When you start getting into the higher levels, into the machine learning engineers and the data science space, it's more about using mathematical models to try and predict patterns and trends within data as well.
Okay, so that sounds like a really lot of interesting content there for people that want to go down that particular path. I mean, after all of that studying then, Sean, what do people actually get at the end? What do they get?
Well, I suppose so. If you're doing a level 4 apprenticeship, you come out with a level 4 qualification. So if you did go and do a degree, you wouldn't necessarily have to do the full degree. And some people just do the first year and they kind of exit out depending on their kind of situation and stuff, but they would still get some kind of qualification. So you get A-level equivalent qualifications, degree level equivalent qualifications. I suppose that the kind of USP of Firebrand, so our unique selling point, is that not only will you get that level 3 or level 4 qualification, but if there's an industry related certification, maybe from the likes of BCS, from the likes of CompTIA, if we can put those qualifications and certifications within our apprenticeship, we will do. So you get that industry grade, really relevant training that helps you get that apprenticeship qualification. But one of the things that Firebrand does is if you come and study an apprenticeship with us, then we'll give you an exam voucher where we put you on a specific vendor related qualification. We'll give you a free exam voucher. So not only can you get that apprenticeship qualification, you can potentially get kind of industry grade vendor qualifications as well. So everybody loves a LinkedIn badge, I think.
Yeah, oh, definitely. I've seen a lot of these digital badges popping up on LinkedIn for sure. I mean, I suppose the last sort of question really is like for employers, how can they actually tell then the level of complexity or difficulty and achievement that someone would go through if they've done one of your apprenticeships?
Yeah, I think it's probably the simplest way to think of it is in terms of those levels. So of like kind of Tony and I have said, the level 3 equivalent to an A level, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there's some ability to kind of understand the complexity there. And then it's really about within apprenticeships, we talk about KSBs, knowledge, skills, and behaviors. So there's going to be a little bit around actually understanding what that knowledge and skill is kind of talking and driving to. Will give you an indication of the kind of complexity. But the easiest way is the levels. The higher the level number, generally the more complex the apprenticeship, but then there's also that ability to look at some of the details around the skills and the behaviors and the knowledge as well.
Right, okay. Because Tony, just to bring you in here, just for sort of right on this last little bit here, we've got people listening to this that are probably doing hires, advanced hires, maybe even thinking about a degree. Yeah. And I suppose when they see things like tech apprenticeship starting at level 4, does it feel like a bit of a climb down, or is there another perspective? What are your thoughts on that?
I think if you're coming straight out of education and going and applying for an apprenticeship, then you have to acknowledge that what you're coming to is a great background where you've been able to demonstrate your knowledge and your understanding, but you don't necessarily come with the experience into the workplace. And so think of the levels more as reflective of the level of experience and background, as well as the complexity of the role that you're going into. If you had been working for 8 or 9 years in a data environment, then arguably, Sean and his colleagues around him would put you into a level 4 data analyst because you're likely to have the right level of experience, background, knowledge to be able to complete a level 4 apprenticeship. But not everyone can go straight from education into a level 4 apprenticeship. So it might be that the level 3 is more appropriate given the role and your background and your experience. It's always about matching the role rather than your level of academic ability. And that's, as an endpoint assessment organisation, our role at the end of the apprenticeship is to assess whether or not you have met that overall competency in the workplace. And that's what BCS does.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, well, great. Hopefully that helps everyone's understanding a little bit more. Thank you, Sean and Tony. Thanks for that. Great to chat to you. I'd love to speak longer, but I'm going to hand back to you, Ian.
Yeah, and thank you. Yeah, thank you indeed. I've kind of moved now in there because they took my blow up lollipop away from me. So I've come over here now into the lovely kind of restaurant area. We don't usually have these umbrellas here in Harbourside with the boats going past. In fact, they are going past right now. So as well as choosing the right apprenticeship, it's important for you to choose the right employer. Now, some organizations will just click for you. Sometimes it'll feel like home. And every year around the September time, we welcome in lots of new colleagues, whether they're joining us on a grad scheme, an apprenticeship, straight into a regular role. And here's a quick film from them sharing their thoughts as to why they love to work here at Lloyds Banking Group.
Love to work at LBG. So it was the feeling that I got when I was welcomed by my team.
Helping people in the most vulnerable of moments.
There's always like some activities going on, fun activities.
Honestly, I actually really can't appreciate everyone enough.
When I joined the group, the first day itself was very warm and welcoming.
And fun as well, a bit of fun too when you were doing the learning and stuff. And
everybody's welcoming, warm, you feel at home.
Satisfaction when you finish the call and somebody's like, thank you, you've helped so much, just makes your day a little bit better.
It's just been very enlightening to have a team that actually supports me and gets me like going and ready for work. I've never really had that before.
As a bit of a nerd, the technology is really appealing.
The systems, they're easy to learn.
I really do love it here, and the people are great, everyone is great, coming to the office is great.
My training was genuinely fantastic. It set you up for success.
You are free to express yourself.
There's a lot of stuff to do in Lloyds that outside of work.
I found the opportunities available very exciting.
It was easier to do the training with people that you can kind of get on with and have a laugh with.
There is always something that I learn every single day I'm at work.
I felt included from the start. It was really professional, really efficient.
I really enjoy the emphasis placed on personal growth and development.
Every avenue's open, you know, it's very friendly, people are willing to talk and share what they do.
I love that video, and I do think that they should give me like a green heart every time we play that, Elaine, don't they? So our next guest couldn't make it live tonight because in some parts of the country it is half term, but I caught up with them a little earlier. Helen Beater's got a rich career history in banking, having once worked for Santander and the digital startup, of course, Starling Bank, a keen sportswoman. Helen once represented Great Britain in archery at the Athens Olympics. And we were joined also by Naini Ghani, who works as Helen's business support manager. And this is what we talked about. Anyway, so Helen, so in your background then, so a lot of people sometimes that we interview with Lloyds, they know Lloyds, they've come to join Lloyds. You've been through a range of different organizations within the banking sector then, and you've seen the banking sector change over 20 years. So what does a career in banking actually look like these days, do you think?
Oh, great question. So I think the first thing I would say about career in banking these days is to know that actually it's a career in technology. So increasingly we are, as you know, supporting our customers through mobile devices. Most of the people listening to this Careers Live will probably experience their bank through a mobile device. That mobile device is written on code, coded by software engineers, and sitting behind that is a whole raft of code which makes up the products and services that you as customers experience from a bank. So we are now a technology first company providing banking services, and those banking services are critical to the financial lives of individuals, people, families, but also businesses, small businesses, and all the way up to corporates. And within our industry, we have a very specialist role to play in the code that we deliver, in that we have to understand the industry that we operate in. We are very heavily regulated, and we have to, for the very important reason that we are custodians of people's money, and it's only right that we're held to very high standards to protect that money that people trust with us.
Amazing. Naini, what kind of skills for somebody starting out like relatively new into your career, because you've still got quite a long way ahead of you. So what kind of skills have you found to be important then in this kind of modern world of banking?
I have to honestly say just the curiosity to learn, and just always be interested in what's new, what's happening around you. You know, one thing I really liked about Lloyds and that really attracted me to this bank was also they just want to build a community of good people. So a lot of when I did the interviews was not about essentially the technical skills and this, that. They wanted to know, how are you like morally? Do you do the right thing to help out? Do you go the extra mile to, you know, really push yourself and your limits to help others? And I think that ties in really well with what Helen said, you know, with banking, we're actually making day-to-day change in people's lives. So Lloyds just wants to build a community of good people that can do better for their community. And that's all I see around me. So, you know, be ready to learn loads, be excited by things, look for opportunities and learn as you go, because people are here to help you and really develop your career with you. You're not in it alone in this big bank.
Yeah, and I think, Helen, in this world of modern banking, then what kind of skills do you think we kind of need if you're going to get into banking as it is today?
I love the way Nini's described her guidance for you. I genuinely believe in curiosity and resilience as skills. I'm just going to put those out there in terms of just general approach to the work and the environment. Being curious, wanting to solve problems, wanting to do right by customers, it is such a guiding principle. And then the resilience to follow through and drive change and make a difference. So I'm going to put those two out there, but then I'm going to go into, like, if you think back to what I described, there are a huge amount of opportunities from an engineering and technology perspective. We've got software coding skills, we've got AI models that we're looking to deploy, we've got huge amounts of data where not only storing it safely but also how we understand the data that it's telling us. We've got opportunities in actually starting to think about setting pricing and doing pricing modeling and figuring out what our financial forecasts are going to be. So there's skills around all of those sort of engineering and maths and science-based skills, but there's also those skills that might be more creative. So you might have a really great creative mind, and then you might work really well in a marketing role or a customer experience role or a customer design role, and the two need to come together because this is an experience we're building for our customers. So I've gone very generic, haven't I, Ian? Look, there's a huge amount of technology opportunities, there's a huge amount of other opportunities, and I think that the thing I would say is, if you know that you're definitely a coder, there's definitely opportunities for you. But if you're not sure, you could give that a go, or you could give something else a go at this point in your career. And as Nani said, she's had the opportunity to try different things. So there is also the route of it's okay not to be sure at this point in time.
Helen, I know that in your life as well, sport has also been kind of like quite important, and I guess that's a cue for saying kind of don't, although you've got to kind of focus on the study, kind of try and keep some of the things that you also love going. We were talking again, weren't we, about all of the extra things that you get from those extracurricular activities, which are still going to be useful for you when you're coming up to employers and saying, this is who I am.
Yes, Ian, do you want me to reveal what you've just alluded to?
Good at sport, fellow Olympian.
I give you a platform here.
I had the privilege of hugely proud to represent Great Britain in the Olympics in 2004. Sports always played a huge role in my life. I think I was always encouraged while growing up to have balance, work hard, but also have experiences outside of your studies, and I think that's definitely stood me in good stead. Several things you learn through that. I learned from sports, other people do music or volunteering, there's many ways, but the thing you learn about I learned about resilience and teamwork, and the road to the Olympics was not a straight road. It was quite hilly, lots of ups and downs, failures as well as successes, and you often learnt more from the failures than you did from the successes, and I think that has definitely stood me in good stead in business. And I would strongly, I've got a young daughter who's just heading into her exams season, and she quite likes playing hockey, and I've absolutely encouraged her not to give up the hockey, because if nothing else, it's a bit of an escape. It's good to be running around, especially when it's raining.
But what do you think is one thing that's like really valuable that you're looking for people to bring to your place right now? Because that one thing is just so darn difficult to train in there.
It's a great question, and I'll tell you what I think I always see, and where it stands out. And where I see somebody stand out is where they bring an insight or an idea, or they've gone that little bit extra mile that I wasn't expecting. So, for example, we might be working on a project and they've done some reading around it and they bring an idea, or they're willing to try something, or they're willing to push something, and they challenge my thinking. And I think the people who are curious and who read around a subject or bring a challenge, but an informed challenge, are the people who stand out. And I look for it every time I'm employing, because at the end of the day, it's a high bar that we're setting to deliver for our customers, and I want to be constantly challenged to deliver great results. And anybody who helps us set that bar high and challenges our thinking is a great person to be in the team.
I feel like we could give up the hour for both of you, because I got 9 years a bonus here. But clearly I'm not allowed, because I've got the rest of the show to run. So I'm going to bring it to a close there and say thank you so much, both of you, for your time and joining us on Lloyds Careers Live this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian.
Thank you.
Oh, that was great, wasn't it, Ian, to hear from Helen as well.
And an Olympian, right, as well. It just casually dropped in. Oh yeah, I was like representing Team GB at the Olympics. Awesome.
That's it. Well,
anyway,
yeah, I mean,
we got some of,
we're going from strength to strength tonight, because we've got three we've got 3 amazing apprentices tonight to chat to. So, each of them does a different role in fintech, but they've also got into this sector through very different pathways. So the first one I'd like to introduce is Neil. Hi, Neil.
Hi, how are you?
Hello, good, thanks. How are you? So Neil, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, so my name is Neil. I'm a DevOps engineer in the cloud services team. So Lloyds at the moment going through a massive transition of taking a lot of data that we store on our own, say, computers and servers, and sticking it up in the cloud. So the team I work for are taking all of that and sending it. The team I'm in is into Google Cloud. We also have Azure, a little bit in AWS, Oracle. So that's what I do.
So sounds really interesting. I mean, in terms of your journey, Neil, into fintech, it was one of those squiggly sort of careers, wasn't it? So do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, that would be an understatement. So I go a couple of jobs back. I was a manager of McDonald's for a while, and then I moved down to London, became an area manager for Greggs down in Southeast London, where I lived at the time. Then I moved over to Subway when I went kind of the corporate side, became the business development manager for London eventually. I kind of fell out of love with that just going into COVID, but I was just glad to have a job at that point. I did a little bit of retraining during COVID in web development, and that's what led me on the path eventually to the interview with Lloyds and getting a job with Lloyds. So it worked out incredibly well.
Yeah, it did. I mean, how did you feel about moving into a totally different sector?
I don't want to say terrified. That's a bit far, because I'd had a lot of work experience before, but I think coming from hospitality and switching over to finance or tech within finance, I just had no idea what to expect. I was expecting to come in and everyone be suits and super corporate. I just had no idea. Turned out not to be the case at all. Even if I think I turned up to work like this, I might be overdressed some days. So yeah, once I had my foot in the door, it was absolutely fine.
Yeah, and I mean, when you were at school, Neil, did tech play much of a part in what you did at school?
Not massively. So I'm an older millennial, so I had the best of both worlds of not having too much tech and then suddenly having a lot of tech in my formative years. Um, I really wish I'd taken this plunge sooner though, because it's always been an interest of mine, but it wasn't available to me, I don't think, in the same way it is available to school leavers nowadays. You guys are super lucky with what you've got access to nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of that journey, how did you find it in terms of the actual training journey to where you are now?
As in the with Firebrand?
Yeah.
Yeah, really interesting. It was very well structured. I think we heard earlier about like the offsites. It was good to go and do those just to catch up with either people within Lloyds or people within other companies. Like we'd set up a WhatsApp group and we're all saying like, how we're getting on with our jobs, what we're studying, what we're working on. Some of them I did online. I think one I did from Portugal as I was had a pre-booked holiday. That was great. Yeah, you really have to, certainly in the DevOps one, you really have to kind of self-drive yourself for sure. You get out what you put in. There's a lot of pre-work there, both for the courses and throughout the apprenticeship. And if you don't keep up, then you might get found out. So keep yourself busy.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you're enjoying what you're doing at the moment at Lloyds Banking Group. Why do you enjoy what you do? Why do you love it so much?
I think the problem-solving part of it is one of the biggest. I think in any management job, you're going to be problem-solving. That's what I've done for years coming into this. But this is a different kind of problem-solving. Like with a computer, it's a computer like will just, if you do something slightly wrong, it will just say no, and it's up to you to fix that in the absence of emotion or something else you might get with other forms of management. So I love that part of it. But also I think anyone in the tech space would say that just having the team dynamic you have, being able to grab a laptop and sit with someone, go sit in the canteen, work something out. There's no one person that knows everything. So being able to just pull people in and say, let's work on this and fix it together is, yeah, really good.
Well, it sounds like you've been on a fantastic journey, Neil. I mean, what's next for you, do you think?
I for sure will go back to management. Like, absolutely, I'll go back to management. I just want to get a bit more experience under my belt first, so I can then, like, fully appreciate what my teams might be going through. And yeah, Lloyds is a big enough company to let me do that in probably 100 places from where I am right now. So yeah, feeling very positive about it.
Definitely. Brilliant. Thanks, Neil.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much. Look, I've moved around the building a little bit and I found this little fella because we're in Bristol, so you can't go anywhere without seeing Gromit somewhere. But we're just going to introduce our colleague Emily now. So Emily, where are you? You've been waiting patiently for us. You're there, aren't you? Hello.
Hello. Hi.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself then, Emily, and the role you do within Lloyds. Now we have a rule on Lloyds Live, which is when we ask you no Lloyds jargon and think about if you were talking like to your friends and family, because we like a bit of jargon in Lloyds, don't we?
Okie dokie. So my name's Emily. My role at Lloyds is a quality engineer, so also known as a software tester. I started my apprenticeship back in September, and I'd say that my journey for applying for this apprenticeship was quite unexpected. I followed the typical path through school. I did my GCSEs, A levels, and then I went and got a degree in sport and exercise science because I thought I wanted to become a teacher, so potentially PE teacher. So after that degree, I went and worked in a primary school for 1 year and decided that this wasn't the path for me. So I almost found myself back at square one. So I thought, what are my interests? What do I enjoy? So I thought one thing I'm quite good at, like problem solving. I absolutely love things like escape rooms. So I thought an apprenticeship is the perfect opportunity to almost be back starting at square one, and be able to get involved and get all that experience and build up on a career I'm really, really interested in.
Yeah. So tech really you know, it's not like tech played like a huge role in your past in school then. But when we look at the research amongst girls in school and we talk about technology, you know, because we know that technology needs more women and more female leaders in there. It seems like girls can be put off a career in technology because they think it's kind of like a bit dull, or it's not really got much of a purpose to it, or it's just going to be with too many boys, frankly. But now you can look backwards over it being like in quality engineering yourself. How can you kind of provide some words of reassurance to those who think that way?
I think the
or
first
maybe
thing
they're right. Maybe they're right. You may say no, they're right.
No. I think the first thing I'll say is that you'd be wrong to think it's dull, because no day is ever boring. And you'd be wrong to think you're just working with machines. As Neil was saying, there's a lot of teamwork based, and there's so many different steps that you've got to achieve to actually be able to finish the testing process. So a lot of communication with other people and working with other people is really necessary. I'd say I think personally that testing is exciting, because it's looking into this piece of software or an app and finding something wrong with it and almost supporting the developers to make it better. And for a bit of reassurance, there's a lot of initiatives to promote the increasing the number of women working in tech, and there's loads of opportunities and events to become like part of communities like Women Connect Tech, and you can network and make loads of friends like that. So you're never alone as a woman in tech.
Yeah, so it's getting better. So we know that when we research amongst girls, that actually purpose is important, you know, seeing the point of what you do. So how do you see purpose in your role?
So I look at software testing as it's the final step before this new app or this new piece of software goes live and is used by our customers. So in theory, we are the last line of defense against bugs that it essentially will cause this app to not work. So if we weren't there, there'd be a whole lot more pressure on the developers to look and find any errors. So like I said, I think we are definitely this last line of defense, and if we weren't there, then I think there'd be a lot more mistakes.
You definitely know it when you turn your apps on. All right, Emily, thank you so much for that. I think, Elaine, we've got our third, I did say not one, not two, but three apprentices. And he's waited for 50 minutes to join us.
Are you there, Jack?
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello.
Jack, you've got myself and Elaine now. So tell us a little bit about, now you had a very different experience to Emily, because I understand, because I've spoken to your mum, and she told me that you were fascinated by computers and you were taking anything with like fuses and wires in it apart from when you were a child.
Yes, I was.
But how did your time at school confirm your kind of passion for technology then?
So, it was kind of in year 7 that I really realized that I loved technology and computer science generally. When I was in year 7, I had a great computing teacher. He was really enthusiastic, and I started looking into the more serious side of technology, I guess you could call it. And that kind of specifically was looking at writing software. So I didn't know at this point, obviously being quite young, whether I wanted to work in the front end development side of things, which is what people will actually see, or the back end side of things, which is kind of the inner workings of our applications. But I started looking at a very basic, simplistic programming interface called Scratch, which a lot of people that have done computer science in school in some capacity will have heard of, but that really wasn't giving me what I wanted, even at that age of kind of 14 years old. So I started asking my computing teacher what the next steps were, and I started looking into a programming language called Small Basic, which was very, very primitive, but actually typing code out as opposed to just dragging colorful blocks across a screen. And when I started doing that and started seeing what I could do with it, that really pushed me in the right direction.
Awesome. Elaine, I feel like you've got some questions as well, isn't it? That we've I know we're really short on time, aren't we? To kind of like pick Jack's.
I know. It's see the thing is, I mean, Jack, let's What challenges did you face, if any, would you say?
I think there were quite a few, but I'll be honest, I have noted a few down in preparation. One of my biggest was asking for something different to work on. I was never really an outgoing person, especially as a child. And I didn't want to be that kid who was always kind of challenging the norm, especially in school. But again, saying that my computing teacher was generally brilliant is an understatement. He saw my enthusiasm, and once I became comfortable asking for new work, for different work, that really helped. I also I have a disability, which made life a little bit more difficult at times. It made work more difficult to complete, and I had to ask for additional support with that as well, which wasn't overly comfortable with during my education, but obviously when I joined Lloyds, that changed a lot. And I also truthfully didn't really find the traditional education and examination the way of working easy. I thought it was quite challenging, and that made me feel like I was falling behind a little bit. So that was quite uncomfortable at times, but again, that all changed with the apprenticeship.
Yeah, and it sounds like you, given the fact that you're on or you're doing an apprenticeship yourself, that was something that attracted you to that way of learning in particular. I mean,
Yeah,
what was
absolutely.
the reason you chose Lloyds, Jack? Just out of interest.
So being honest with you, in addition to technology, I've also I'm really interested in personal finance. I pride myself on my my knowledge of personal finance, and so that kind of drove me to, when I was applying for apprenticeships, to apply for financial companies generally. But I didn't know about the culture of Lloyd's particularly, until I got my initial letter of acceptance to attend the assessment day, and that was when I started looking into the company culture and looking at what Lloyd's did differently, and that was where I kind of made the decision that was the company I wanted to pursue my future aspirations with.
Yeah,
Amazing.
and we do. Oh, sorry, Ian, go on.
No, you go. I think the thing is, when we get time with Jack, we're all like going, yeah, we've got loads of questions and not enough time.
Yeah, that's it. I mean,
Nice to know.
we like you say, we are quite tight on time. But just one last question from me, Jack. What advice would you give our audience this evening if they're considering a career in fintech? Do you think?
I have written down in capitals here, do it. So honestly, if you've never touched a line of code before, or you've never really touched technology before, or you don't know the inner workings of a financial company, it's not going to stop you from pursuing what you're interested in. The way in an apprenticeship that your hand gets held, but not in an overbearing way. You still have the opportunity to kind of explore in your own time and in your own way, and also learn in a business, as opposed to the traditional kind of university or school style learning. The experience that you'll get is so much better. It's so much more fulfilling, and you understand a lot more about the bigger picture, as opposed to sticking to a syllabus like you would in school.
Yeah, and I think the really interesting thing here, Elaine, for me tonight, and thank you, Jack, is that what we've shown through these apprentices, and I know we've got kind of Emily and Neil are still around in there, is that what you've seen is kind of like the life cycle at work and some of the different career paths, from being like in software development to actually kind of like trying to solve the problem through code for people. Emily's discipline, which is making sure that it's excellent and it really works and there's error-free when it's there. And then in Neil's world in DevOps, we're trying to work out how do we actually productionalize that and actually get that out to people, and how do we release updates and all of those sorts of things so you don't kind of like lose all your settings and all of those things in there as well. And that's just scratching the surface. There's so many different things that you can do in fintech, and nobody's asking you to make this kind of big decision in life of, you're going to do this and this thing forever. Start and find your happy place in the here and now. Thank you, all of our apprentices. That's an awesome job.
Yeah. Thanks everyone. It's great to chat to you. I mean, as always, we'd love to carry on the conversation, but time is running away with us tonight. But please, everybody, do be sure to sign up to our Imagine What's Next platform so that we can stay connected with you after tonight's live stream. Now, this is the place where we advertise vacancies, but also how you can actually secure work experience and access our fantastic mentors, which are colleagues that work here at Lloyds Banking Group. All of their knowledge is happy to be shared, and their experience. You know, we're all happy to support where possible. So we really want you to be successful on your journey, and that's why we've created the Imagine What's Next platform. Now, at the start of tonight's live stream, we asked you 2 questions. So we're going to run those polls again to see whether you're a little bit more convinced at pursuing a career now in Fintech. So we can go back to the first poll. How confident are you about roles? How confident are you in roles in Fintech? And we can see.
Is anybody confident?
Yeah, we've got someone.
So we've got to 4s. We've got to some 4s on my screen, which is all good.
Yeah, that's really good. And we asked you the other question, which was, could you see yourself working at... Oh, brilliant. That's really good. That's really good. And we asked you another question about, could you see yourself working with us at Lloyds Banking Group? So if you feel it's extremely unlikely, give it a 1. If you feel absolutely certain, then give it a 5. We're at the top end here, so that's good. Isn't it, Ian?
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. We'd love to have you on board.
All right. Awesome. Apologies, we've got a little bit of an issue with the link. That's probably my dodgy typing, but we'll get that sent out to you guys because you got a 404 error message, and it's me juggling 2 laptops, and I probably typed the wrong thing in there as well. So hopefully that means that we're going to be seeing, with those kind of scores, hopefully we'll see some of you presenting Lloyds Careers Live in 2025 or beyond. Look, we've loved having you here this evening, and thank you for all of our friends, for BCS, Firebrand, tech engineering teams who've supported us as well, and our fantastic apprentices for giving us all of their expertise here this evening. So we want to stay connected. Do make sure that you join us on Imagine What's Next. We'll get that sorted for you and meet some of the fantastic mentors that are there. Don't forget, you can replay any part of this live stream by going onto our YouTube channel, Lloyds Early Careers YouTube channel. If you're looking at apprenticeships for the next academic year, being on Imagine What's Next is the best way to get all of your alerts so you can get ahead of the crowd. And we'll be back once again on the first Tuesday of every month, first Tuesday of July. That's going to be July the 2nd, and it's going to be our 2-year anniversary of Lloyds Careers Live, and we're going to be exploring how to find a job that you'll love. So Elaine, it's been our pleasure this evening, hasn't it?
Yes, it's been amazing. Thanks to everyone.
Your broadband has finally held out.
Yeah.
And we got there. We'll see you soon. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Bye for now.
Bye.
What does success mean to us?
Success is making a difference
for our customers and our communities.
Success is empowering people from the start,
building their confidence,
giving them tools to start their careers.
Success is putting our people first.
It's knowing when to listen
and making the time to talk.
Success is supporting causes we care about.
It's getting involved.
All hands on deck.
Success is making banking better.
It's engineering a fairer future.
Making progress and leaving no one behind.
Whatever shape it takes.
Success starts with us.